Welcome to today's class, everybody. Welcome to Living Lessons from Tanya. And we are up to chapter 19, which is found on page 118. But let's give some background before. Up until now, we were learning that we were created with two souls. A godly soul, which is an actual piece of God, which is in us to influence us to do mitzvah. And then God created also within us an animal soul, a very physical soul, a soul that wants to be very physical, the antithesis of holiness. We're going to call that like a klipa, like a shell that goes around the godly soul to put the godly soul's voice into quiet mode, into dormancy. We also learned the power of each one of these souls and what they're made of so we can control it. Then we learned about that there's always a fight within us. Should we do it like this? Should we do it like this? So in chapter 12, the Alter Rebbe wrote in Tanya that each one of us have the ability to make the right choice. And it doesn't mean that we always have to be right. I mean, it'd be great if we're always righteous, but to be a tzaddik, to be right, is impossible. So take every issue one moment at a time. For example, should I eat kosher? Should I not eat kosher? I will drive to the kosher restaurant. Now, that's it. I will drive to the kosher restaurant. Now, next time you may go to an unkosher restaurant, take every little step one by one and choose what's right. Eventually, we started going into how do I keep myself motivated to always want to do the right thing. So the Alter Rebbe said the greatest way is to arouse love within you for God. How do you do that? Take moments of your day and start contemplating how great God is to you. There's a whole world. He created a giant world. He takes care of the ants in South America, in South Africa. And he makes sure they have crumbs of food, takes care of the fish in the water, that there's kelp, even for the tiniest fish. Then the biggest fish eats it. Everything is taken care of perfectly. And yet, with all that's going on, God takes care of you. So it develops a wonderful love for God. So now that I have this love for God, because I have a knowledge of God, and not only that, even when I learn Torah, by studying Torah, all of a sudden you walk away, wow, this is unbelievable, this is great. So that itself keeps the fire in you for a love for God, to always choose to do what God wants. And then all of a sudden, in the previous chapters, or at least especially in the last one, 18, we asked, what about the Jew who doesn't know much about God, born in a very secular home? How is it possible for them to take moments and contemplate about God and to have a love for God, to go and say, you know what, I'm going to go and do the right thing? If they weren't brought up in a Jewish education, or if they were brought up just knowing that they were Jewish in the Soviet Union, they didn't know much about God. How is it possible for them? Which, when we look at the Jewish nation today, many times we look at them, they say, I don't know how I'm going to speak to my fellow Jew. They know nothing. They're empathetic. Comes the Alter Rebbe in chapter 18 and says a mind-blowing concept. That in every single Jew, they do have this godly soul, but the animal soul covers it up. And I'm always thinking physical. I want to eat unkosher. I don't want to keep shouting. There's so much of this that is constantly, that we don't even feel our Jewishness, but there's a part of our soul. Remember, we talked about the 10 energies. The highest part is called Chochmah. Chochmah is a flash. Chochmah means wisdom. Koyach ma. Chochmah, koyach ma. The potential of something unbelievable. Many times we're going to flash in our head. We don't know where it comes from. So too also, the most secular Jew, the Jew who grew up in Soviet Union without knowing about God, can all of a sudden get a flash and say, Wow, I'm a Jew. I'm willing to die as a Jew. Give you an example. October 7th, each one of us woke up in our own way. Those that are observant, but those that were always considered secular, they started coming out of the closet. Hey, I'm a Jew. And I'm proud to announce that I'm a Jew. What happened? October 7th was such a hit upon the Jewish people that even if you lived in Beverly Hills and never went to a synagogue, never had a bar mitzvah, nothing, you still started wearing a Star of David. Where did that come from? Never did you think about being Jewish. In fact, you may have been even dating somebody not Jewish. It could be very well that you were intermarried. But all of a sudden, at the core, you woke up with a love. I'm Jewish. I had a connection. I have a love. And many people started even lighting Shabbos candles, wanted to have that connection with God. This is called an Ava Musteris. This is called a hidden love. It's in every single Jew. And when it's confronted, you wake up and you go like this, whoa, I didn't even know this was in me. And that's what happened at October 7th. Throughout history, we Jewish people had this. Question is, how does that work? You see, the more we're able to understand this, the more we're able to understand every single Jew. You see, there's no such thing as a bad Jew. Okay, actions, I get it. You know, a person can be a thief, etc. But what I'm saying to you is, just because somebody's secular, we don't give up on them. Just because somebody is protesting against Israel doesn't mean we give up on them. There's something inside them that can be awakened. You ever notice a Chabadnik will always walk over to, no matter who you are, because we learn Tanya. And we understand from what the Alter Rebbe is teaching us, inside every single Jew is a hidden love. We just have to waken them up. Just waken up the soul. And all of a sudden you can see things fly. So for those that have this book, let's turn to chapter 19. And page 118 up on top. I'll read it so everybody who is out there can follow along. The Alter Rebbe writes, the natural desire, natural. We're not talking about talking about the nature. The natural desire and yearning of the godly soul really wants to leave the body. This body is like antithesis of what their life is. They want to just be connected to God. So being in this body that has desires and physical desires, it's natural thing, I want to get out of here. All I want to do is reconnect to God. When it encounters a test of faith, even if you're deep in slumber and you don't even feel Jewish, that soul awakens, and awakens big time. Let's understand. Throughout history, thousands of Jews have chosen to die rather than accept another religion. Strangely enough, the myriads of Jews who have given their lives for the name of God include not only the holy rabbis, but even bigger sinners, ignorant Jews of Torah. Where does this come from? What motivates someone who seems not to care about Judaism, not to care about Torah, not to even know or think about God? Where does it come from? They're willing to give everything up and die as a Jew. The answer lies, my dear friends, in the mystery of a flame, a candle. If you observe a flame, just a fire, you will notice that it constantly is leaping forward, going up, striving to leave the wick that it's holding on to. But why? Why? The wick is the only thing that keeps the flame in existence, or else it will just go and disappear. Many times you notice, like on a bonfire, all of a sudden a spark jumps up, or a little piece of flame just jumps up. It busted out from its attachment to the physical log. Without the connection to the physical wick, the flame would disappear. If the flame were asked the following question, it would respond, "You're right. It doesn't make sense to me. But this is my nature as a flame, to rise up. It is true that most things want to exist and stay in this world and live longer. But my nature as a flame, shoot up, up, up. I try not to exist," says the flame. "I just want to go high. But when it goes high, it disappears." King Solomon writes in his holy writings, it says, "Ner Hashem nishmas Adam." And this is the key. The flame of God is the soul of man. The flame of God is my soul. If the soul were asked what it really wants most, the Jewish soul, the godly soul in you and I, we respond, "I want nothing. What do I want? I want ice cream? No. I don't care about ice cream. I want to go to the Philippines? No. I want to have a suntan? It's a waste for me. What do I want? I want to disappear. I want to become I want to go back to God." And every Jew has this nature inside us, because that is the nature of what a soul is. Every Jew at the core wants to be so completely united with God that I'm willing to disappear and become one with God. Just like if you look at the sun, millions of rays come out of the sun, but at the core, where the rays begin, in the sun, you don't see the ray. Why? Because the rays are one with the light, with God, with the sun, S-U-N. But this nature is covered up. Yes. You and I don't feel it all the time. Why? Because we have an animal soul. If the animal soul were to ask what it wants, all it would say is, "Are you kidding me? I don't want to disappear. I want to live big. I want to be more. I love my ego. I love what I am. Do you know who I am? I'm the head secretary. You know who I am? I'm the big movie star. Do you know who I am? Look at my Instagram page. I got 2,000 likes on one picture last week." That's the animal soul. The animal soul is so powerful. You see, the godly soul is meek. The animal soul conquers, covers. And it covers over the godly soul that you can't hear it. So many Jewish people don't feel their godly soul too often. But the flame of the godly soul never goes out. It may be sleeping, it may be dormant, but it's just waiting for an opportunity to flicker. This is why so many Jewish people throughout history have chosen to die rather to bow to an idol or convert to another religion. One of the hostages that were in the tunnels that were released, he told over that these captors, the Hamasniks, they were trying to be so nice to him. "If you convert to Islam, we'll give you more food." He stayed hungry. But he could have just said it with words. He could have just said, "Okay, I am now Islam, salami, bologna, pastrami, whatever you want, I'll say. Give me more food." No! Deep inside him, there's a hidden love that he doesn't want to go and separate from God. So too also during the Spanish Inquisition, how many times did the church go over to Jewish people? If you don't bow to the church and if you don't convert to Catholicism, we're going to burn you at the stake. And thousands of Jews. unfortunately died at auto da fe, burnt at the stake. As the people were cheering on, yeah, die Jew. Other Jewish people acted like a Marano, and what happened was they went and put, outside they lived like a Christian, or Catholic, but inside the homes they kept kosher. That's why was created the Spanish Inquisition. They used to crash Jewish homes and inquire. Let me see, do you have kosher food? Do you have Shabbos candles? They would look. And many Jews were tortured there too. They wouldn't give up their Judaism. So every single Jew has this ahava, this love. As we see after October 7th, if you walked over, many Jewish people say, would you like to put on the film? Jews that never put on film, they're doing it. Shabbos candles, women, they're rushing home to make sure they light Shabbos candles. You know how many challah bakes? Challah bakes became... Everybody's running to a challah bake. I have to do a challah bake. I have to do it for the hostages. I have to do it for the soldiers. I have to do it for me. Now that I had a challah bake, I want to do a Shabbat dinner. That Av understands that love that's hidden came out, even by the most secular of all. So the truth of the matter is, we have to ask, if the nature of a godly soul, of a Jew, is not to sin, nature of a Jew is not to sin. For example, the nature of a Jew is to eat kosher. That's my nature. The nature of a Jew is to fast on Yom Kippur. The nature of a Jew is to observe Shabbos. It's unnatural for a Jew to eat anything but kosher. It's unnatural for a Jew not to have a mezuzah on their door. So how is it possible that a Jew can do the opposite of what Judaism asks? And the answer is, if you read on the top of page 119, it says that the only reason a Jew ever violates their Judaism only because nichnes boi ruach shtus, foolishness, justification, popped into the head. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We don't have to. It's all right. You know, somebody once told me, Rabbi, I don't have to keep kosher. I said, why? I'm a Reformed Jew. So I'm looking at them and said, 1 minute. You mean at Mount Sinai, God said, okay, you religious Jews, suckers, you're going to keep kosher, but the Reformed Jews, they got a ticket. They don't got to do it. Could you imagine? The person says, I'm a Reformed Jew, therefore I don't have to. In other words, something convinced them. It's foolishness that I don't have to. By the way, I said to them, listen, you really like being a Reformed Jew? And they go, yeah, I love it. So I would say to them, I'm a Reformed rabbi. Stick around with me and I'll reform you. But the point of the matter is, how did they convince themselves that I, as a Jew, don't have to keep Shabbos? The truth of the matter is, a Jew wants to keep Shabbos. But inside us, we have a thing called justification, that the animal soul says, it's okay, you don't have to. You reform. It's enough. You did this. You don't have to do so much. The Alter Rebbe is saying straight up here in chapter 19, that deep inside us, we want to keep Shabbos. Deep inside, we want to keep kosher. Proof, after October 7th, many Jews woke up and started doing things that they never thought they would ever do. The foolishness went away. I want to bring out a beautiful concept. What does love really mean? I love somebody. So in Kabbalistic terms, love only happens if you humble yourself. If you have a big ego and I'm such a big person, then you don't have room for someone else. There's no vulnerability. You're not allowing anything inside. We call this bittul. Bittul means self-nullification. Not that I'm a nobody, but I make my ego smaller so I can let you in. The word Yehuda Yehuda, Judah, which we Jews are named after. We are Judah, we are Jews, comes from the word hoidah. Hoidah means to admit. I admit. Also means to praise. When I praise you, it shows that I see something about you that's greater than me. When I admitting something is less ego. The more a Jew praises God and admits that there is a God, the more I recognize that I am smaller and you're bigger. I love you. And through that love, I'm able to serve you. So the essence of a Jew really is, the nature of a Jew really is that I want to be with God. In fact, if you can read Hebrew, just going off for a moment, if you can read Hebrew, God's name is 4 letters. A Yud, a Hey, then a Vav, and a Hey. That's God's name. We pronounce it Ado and then Noi. Like Baruch Atah, etc. So the thing is, a Yud, a Hey, and a Vav, and a Hey, if I put a Dalid in between, spells Yehuda. Yehuda. Take out the Dalit, it's God's name. So in essence, what is a Jew? A piece of God. My essence is God. My essence is wanting to be connected to God. But God created me that I have an animal soul, because if it was all God, then I would have no free choice. I'd be a robot. I now have to fight through my darkness. I have to fight through to show my love. Like in any relationship. Not always do you want to do what the spouse asks you or your friend wants you. But because you humble yourself and you admit it's okay, I can give of myself, I can be vulnerable, then the very first thing is you become closer to your friend or your spouse, because I'll do what you want. Because I love you. Love really means I make space for you, and I'm willing to be vulnerable, and I'll do what you want. That is the nature of a Jew. I got to push my animal soul, my ego to a side, and say, I want to do for you, God. Jews who never experienced this, they don't know what that means. Why would I want to keep kosher? Why do I want to keep Shabbos? October 7th happened. Then all of a sudden, I want to light Shabbos candles. I want to at least identify as a Jew. Before, my real name, my stage name was Gina McCormick. But her real name was Gittel Rosenberg. But I don't want anybody to know I'm Jewish. Now, I'm wearing a star. I'm wearing a chai. I just want to identify as a Jew after October 7th. This hidden love is hidden in us. This hidden love is like the candle always wants to be with God. I don't want to be disconnected from God. But because I have to live, just one second. Just because I have to live, I'm willing to go and stay in this world, but I will do what God wants. And we can break out of ourselves. Do you remember the story of Daniel Pearl? He wasn't the most religious person in the world, but they wanted to kill him. What did he say? He said, my father was a Jew, my mother's a Jew, my grandparents was a Jew, I am a Jew, and that's when they killed him. Why at the last moment was the first time that he had to go and scream out, I'm Jewish? Because he recognized at that moment they wanted him to admit all his sins and, in fact, even convert to Islam. He said, no way. There's a famous story way back that there was once a Jew by the name of Yossel. He was known as Yossel the Ganef, Yossel the thief. He couldn't stop himself. He was a kleptomaniac. And one day in his village, what did he end up doing? He ended up stealing from a church. And they caught him. A Jew stealing from a church. Forget about it. They tied him up. They were ready to go and do justice. And they wanted to burn him to the stake, etc., etc. The priest comes over to him and says, Yossel, We will free you if you convert to our religion. And Yossel, it's a famous story. Yossel goes and says, excuse me, a thief I am, but I'm also a Jew. And I can't change either one of those things. He could have just said salami, bologna, and bowed. No! Deep inside Yossel was a love, an avinus. Now, we don't have to wait for October 7th for us to waken each other up. But the Alter Rebbe is really saying is, never give up on a Jew. There's two Jews out there. There's a practicing Jew and a potentially practicing Jew. Why do we use the word potentially? Because deep inside, that's their nature. It's just covered up. So we never, ever give up on anybody. So, if you're holy, you're not separated from God. Anything that is holy is humble. Anything that is not holy, you'll notice there's a big ego to it. I exist. So what is the Alter Rebbe trying to say here? And this is, I think, where we can just about end this class. The reality is that every single Jew has to work on themselves. We all feel proud. There's nothing wrong having a very healthy ego. We all feel proud of who we are and what we are. I love the work that I do. I have a success. But the more you recognize that whatever I have is a blessing from God, I was given this blessing of this talent from God. But if we work on ourselves and we go and say like this, it's not about my ego. And we work on ourselves and we say, I am able to give myself over to do a mitzvah, you'll start realizing, you know what? As great as I am, God is a little greater. And you develop a love. But what about the Jew who's so far from Judaism? You look at them and say like this, they vote this way, they act this way, they protest against Israel. It's only because their animal soul has so covered them that it's almost impossible for them to get out of it. So the very first thing is, don't talk to them about the animal soul. Don't talk politics to them. Don't. Why? That's not your job. Your job is to awaken the Jew in them. So what do? The first thing you walk over to them, excuse me, are you Jewish? Let's do a mitzvah. You're a Jew, I'm a Jew. Let's put on tefillin. What? I need you. What do you mean you need me? You're a Jew, I'm a Jew. We have to make this world a better place spiritually. But I never did it before. I know. I'll show you how. Or you walk over to a couple and say, excuse me, you're a beautiful Jewish couple. We want to get to know you better. Can we go out for dinner? Sure. I would like to invite you to my house for a Shabbos dinner. Do you know how many of these Jews show up? They're a stranger. They want to connect, but they don't know how. They go to your house and you don't talk politics. Politics is your animal, your ego. They have to break down. You lost them. What do? Talk about? Look how beautiful Shabbos is. Let's talk about the history of the Jewish people. Did you know in this week's Torah portion, it says such and such a thing? And we can all learn from this. And all of a sudden they go like this, wow, what a peaceful night. And the reason why they love the peaceful night, because they didn't have to fight. Their godly soul was coming out. They felt the yummy. I want more of this. And that's the secret in how to bring Jewish people closer to Judaism. Don't go and say what they're doing. Don't go and bring out the negativity. They just dig in more. They don't want to hear you anymore. But if you do it with love of a fellow, just like somebody came to you and invited you to a Shabbos dinner, just like somebody came to you and said, would you like to put on tefillin? And they never ever argued with you why what you're doing is wrong. They never. What did they do? They spoke to you, to your hidden love, the Jew in you. And you start to go, wow, I want more. And today, in our generation, even before October 7th, there were so many Jews coming back to Judaism. Why? Because of the outreach to speak to their godly soul that is hidden inside. And they're willing to give up. Now, in today's world, no one's asking us to convert to another religion. But what is our challenge? The challenge of today is giving up your lifestyle that every Friday night you'll go to Phantom of the Opera or to the Hollywood Bowl. Shabbos, Saturday would be a day of shopping, going out to the beach, making sure we go boating, etc., etc. And then all of a sudden you start noticing these Jews, they're giving up their life for God. I'm coming to services. I love services. I love learning. There's something in my mind that's excited. Something in my heart that's excited. I'm connecting to God. So deep inside every Jew, in the highest level of their soul called Chokhmah, where there's always a flash of like, what did I just think of? The next level is understanding. That's the second level of power in your soul. But the first one is, there's a flash. What just happened? What awoken in me? What am I thinking about? That could have been your October 7th. And then all of a sudden you started doing things beyond understanding. I got to wear my star. I got to get onto my account and go and say, I'm a Jew and I'm proud, and I'll sing it out loud, for that's what I'll always be. Where did that come from? Yesterday wasn't even part of your language. And the answer is, there's a hidden love in every single Jew. It just has to be awoken. My dear friends, we don't have to wait for October 7th. All you have to do is go over to somebody at work. He says, you're a Jew, I'm a Jew. Let's have Shabbos dinner together. And watch that person. Watch that person go, wow, who knew? They may not become as religious as you want them to be, but one step closer is tapping into their potential. One step closer helps the entire Jewish nation. One step closer is making this world a holier place for God, which is what it's all about. Thank you all for coming to this lesson, chapter 19 of Living Lessons from Tanya, and I'll see you all at the next class.